So we got Jagan here. He's the managing partner over at NetLogistik. He's going to tell us a little bit about NetLogistik, and we're going to talk a little bit too about automation and robotics here at Modex and how NetLogistik is supporting those. So, how are you, sir?
Doing well.
Good to see you in person too. We just had your podcast come out a little bit ago, but we did that virtually, so it's good to meet you in person, sir.
To meet you.
So for people maybe that missed that podcast or not familiar, why don't you tell them about NetLogistik and what it is that you guys do?
Yeah, thank you for having us, Kevin. And we're a mid-size technology services firm. Mm-hmm. We do all supply chain and logistics technology services. We work with customers where supply chain leaders are looking at what options there are out there for solutions. We work with supply chain leaders and be a bridge between them and their IT organizations. Work with them starting with their needs and assessing what solutions are right for their needs, and then putting together a roadmap for deploying those solutions, and then help them select the right software or hardware solution, and then we deploy and support. We're strong presence in the U.S., Canada, and Latin America, growing in Europe. Right. Been in business for 20 plus years. This is what we live and breathe, logistics.
Yeah. Nice.
So it's great to be here, and looking forward to the next few days.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's such an important thing to play that role, and like you said, be able to build that roadmap for organizations and operations to be able to understand. So I mean, in that regard, I mean, as we look here, and obviously one of the biggest topics I think around Modex is you just walk in and you just see like robots, automation all over the place. So I mean, when you're looking at that roadmap, I'm curious from your perspective, NetLogistik. I mean, you look at these things and it may be like I walk in and I see something that's really cool and I'm like, oh, I need to get that right in my organization. But I mean, tell us a little bit about, for people that are maybe just looking at or looking to go further into automation. I mean, where does that roadmap really kind of start? Like, what's the beginning of that roadmap look like?
Yeah, it really starts with business, right? Business and their strategy as a business. Where is the business headed? Competitively, what capabilities do they need as a business? Mm-hmm. And then if you go further down into some of the details, particularly in distribution centers and warehouses, it comes down to what does the order profile look like, pick profiles look like, and what's driving the need for any automation, if they're thinking about automation. Is it efficiencies? Is it speed? Is it increasing the throughput and increasing the productivity, doing more with less? So that's where we begin, and get down to a handful of use cases where there is a potential for a clear, tangible return. Right? Yeah. And often you find that in, I think the obvious areas is you look at a warehouse. Obvious areas are picking and internal movements in the warehouse. Yeah. Yeah. And that's where you see a lot of the robots and automated guided vehicles, AGVs, and different storage and retrieval systems that you find. We start there, and then we look at, given the use case, what's the right solution, hardware and software solution.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's such an important thing to understand. Actually, like, where does the use case lie, right, within the operation, like as you were saying, and I think it's easy to, with so much, cutting edge technology, like finding its home or its way into our industry, which is very cool and very exciting, right? It's also makes it very easy to maybe go in the wrong direction because you think like you want to have the next greatest thing, but it's not necessarily like the application you need right now, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, from a systems perspective, because you guys do a lot with WMS, right? So I mean, tell us about kind of how our WMS providers and WMSs themselves. I mean, how are they like keeping up with all of this, stuff on the hardware side, I guess we could say, from a robotics perspective, handhelds, whatever the case may be. I mean, how are WMSs keeping up with that, and how integral is the WMS to be able to make those things happen?
Yeah, so WMSs have been around since late 80s, 90s, and a lot of the market leaders, they brought WMSs to market decades ago.
Yeah.
And when they came to market, they were built as rule-based systems. So you design it. So when you are implementing, you set up a set of rules, and warehouses operate based on that rules-based configuration. And WMSs will continue to be what I call the system of record for the warehouse. Right. But as businesses are dealing with constant and rapid changes, those changes require a much more dynamic decision making on the floor as operational conditions are changing. This is where I say WMSs will be complemented by intelligence systems that are actively sensing, learning, and responding to changing operational conditions.
Right.
That's where there's a large potential for both software and hardware technologies to complement the WMS. And we see WMS market leaders making their own investments in software layers to bring that intelligent orchestration to conditions that are changing in the operation. But then you also see independent orchestration platforms. SVT is a good example of that, where they connect all of the hardware options that are available to the WMS, but they also have intelligence built into the platform, and that's what we are excited about, and that's one of the reasons for our deep, close partnership with SVT.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's such a great way to put it, because I think the WMS is, you can't necessarily live without the WMS, right? But there are all these other systems that are out there in play that are going to need to coordinate and work with the WMS, but are going to take you to that next level, right? Like you said, that more intelligent level, right? And a good thing like WMS is not in person, because I think we're calling them not so intelligent right now. But I think that, it's very important to understand that, and that you're going to have these almost like, building blocks, right? That you're adding on to the WMS and being able to make those things happen. Like you mentioned, SVT, what they're doing, and having those things kind of come together. So very interesting insights from you here, and really appreciate your knowledge coming on the show. And I'm curious, what do you think, or what's most exciting for you here at the show? What are you most excited to see?
I firmly believe that we're in very early stages of the next wave of investments in logistics, warehouses, and transportation. I think it's a combination of hardware automation as well as software automation. When I talk about hardware, all of the devices that are here, robots and various other things, plus software automation, which is robotics, soft robots, robotic process automation, RPA. The combination of those things will make the next stage of investments, the next stage of activity in this space super exciting.
Interesting stuff. So more investment you're saying.
Yeah.
I think which is a good thing, right? Because there's been a lot of talk about investment dying down a little bit, but I see it too. I mean, I think there's a lot of things
I think
like,
we're in early stages.
yeah, that are getting
I
exciting.
think companies are finally realizing this is real.
Yeah.
By exploring these solutions, hardware and software solutions, to add to what we already have. We've made investments in WMSs and TMSs. There is a layer that we can bring on, and that layer can complement what we already have. And I think that's where we'll see this big wave.
Yeah.
Of investments.
Interesting. All right, very interesting stuff with you here, and definitely appreciate you coming by the booth, and great to meet you in person, sir. If people want to learn more about NetLogistik, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, our website is the right way. The best way, it's netlogistik.com.
All right.
We're on LinkedIn, very active on LinkedIn.
All right. I know NetLogistik. Look for it, and we'll put the website up too. So thank you very much, sir, for coming by, and we'll see you a little later.
Kevin. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, sir. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's video here on our YouTube channel, the New Warehouse Podcast, and I appreciate you tuning in. If you liked what you saw, make sure you subscribe to our channel, and if you like this video in particular, make sure you like it as well. And if you want to get this great t-shirt that you see in the video behind me, Warehouses Are Sexy, head to warehousesaresexy.com and get your own.